Now that the Ohio State Buckeyes have seen their arch rival go out and win a national championship, what's next for Ryan Day and the Buckeyes? There's some crazy stuff out there. We're going to look at it right here on Locked On Big Ten.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We really appreciate it. You know, we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as well as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. All right, what's the Buckeyes' next move? They got to catch up to Michigan. What's going on? A lot of things behind the scenes, plus some roster news on other teams. And a publication put out, it's not too early, top 25 for 2024. We'll look at it. We'll look at the Big Ten teams and the new Big Ten teams coming on, plus our Big Ten Classics. Be sure to subscribe down below and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. I am fascinated by the Ohio State Buckeyes and Ryan Day's constant status and the immediate future of the 2024 Ohio State Buckeyes. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. The question is, after watching Michigan win a natty, what does Ohio State have to do next? You talk about a pressure cooker job. The only thing that accelerates that pressure is when your arch rival wins a national championship, right? You can't do nothing. They cannot do status quo. Now, there's some stuff floating out there. So people are saying, hey, let's bring back Urban Meyer, right? Some point out that alum Mike Vrabel is now available since he was surprisingly fired by the Tennessee Titans this year. I say, look, tap the brakes just for a moment. Just tap the brakes on all this. Let's do a reality check here, okay? I've always backed up Ryan Day on this. I mean, people ask for perfection, and they come close. And because he comes up short, people give him a hard time. Look, again, I point out again, time and time again, Ryan Day has won 90% of his games since he's been the head coach at Ohio State. And the 2023 team went 11-1 in the regular season. 11-1. They lost one game by one score on the road to the best team in college football. And everybody is all up in arms about it. Now, I know it was the one best team in college football that you don't want to lose to if you're Ohio State. Look, they were even moving the ball in the big house against Michigan late in the fourth quarter, down 6, touchdown wins the game with the extra point. Kyle McCord throws the interception. So one interception late in the fourth quarter of that game, and they run McCord out of town. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. These are 20-year-old kids out there. But that's what we do. I know. I'm not naive. It's big business. No question about it. So let's talk about this here. And the reality of the matter, it is high-stakes college football. And despite Ryan Day's success, and I call it success, it's crazy not to. Look, you're winning 90% of your games and whatnot. They're going to have a new athletic director there at Ohio State because Gene Smith is going to retire in a few months. And Smith was the guy that gave Ryan Day his shot as head coach when Urban Meyer left. And when Smith leaves, Day's flank isn't going to be protected anymore. And you know how this works. The new AD is going to want to hire his own guy. And the new AD will be told in no uncertain terms to get his own guy if Day loses to Michigan a fourth straight year. But I will propose this, of course, 12 teams get into the playoffs next year instead of 4. It's almost a sure thing that Ohio State will be one of those 12 teams. Even if Ohio State loses to Michigan, they're still going to be in the top 12 and get into the playoffs, most likely. I get a question for you. What if Day loses to Michigan a fourth straight time, but gets into the playoffs and wins a couple games and makes a deep run into the playoffs next year? And that's a real possibility. That's a real question for Ohio State boosters that they have to ask. Former Ohio State running back Maurice Clarett is very outspoken. And he's been saying since November that the school should go and bring Urban Meyer back. And at the time, it seemed that Meyer was interested in coaching. There were rumors all over the place about him and Michigan State. And we think at least 2 conversations took place between Urban Meyer and Michigan State before, whatever reason, Urban Meyer decided to say, nah, I'm cool. I don't want to get back into coaching. Look, he's making like almost coaching money as a part-time analyst at Fox, right? And the game is changing rapidly since Urban Meyer left just a few years ago. Look, he supposedly left Florida and Ohio State due to health and stress reasons. And now I would argue that the head coach in college football is even more stressful. You got to deal with recruiting. You got to deal with re-recruiting and keeping your own guys. You need to recruit in the transfer portal. You need to stop your guys from going to the transfer portal. And you got to manage all this name, image, and likeness money. That's a big change from just a couple of years ago. And that's all in addition to, oh, by the way, coaching practice and coaching games and being under the pressure to go undefeated and win titles every year at Ohio State, because that's the deal. I think Urban said, nah, I'm good. Then there's the Mike Vrabel story. Of course, Mike Vrabel, former player for the Buckeyes, was the head coach of the Tennessee Titans until this week. Big surprise around the NFL that he was let go, even though they had a down year with the Titans. But he's won 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots. And he's regarded as one of the best coaches in the NFL. And a lot of people seem to think that he might be named Bill Belichick's replacement in New England any day now. Clarett suggested this week that Vrabel doesn't need the money, so he should just lay low, not take the Patriots job or any other job, wait a year, and until Ryan Day falls short of these impossible expectations, wait a year and come to Ohio State, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. But that's the kind of chit chat that's going on out there. And that's what we talk about here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, let's talk about some other things. In the meantime, Ryan Day isn't just going to roll over. I mean, the Buckeyes did have an embarrassing loss in the Cotton Bowl to Missouri, but they learned something. They learned that Devin Brown probably ain't going to be the guy at quarterback. And Lincoln Keenholz probably ain't going to be ready anytime soon. They got incoming freshman Aaron Nolan, but let's be real. As I said yesterday in the podcast, true freshmen rarely come in and start and play well. Going to need about a year to get settled in. They got themselves a quarterback with a year's worth of eligibility left, and that is Kansas State transfer Will Howard. He announced he's coming to Columbus. Now, he's a strong, big guy, 240 pounds. He can run the ball, do some power running. I'm a little concerned, if I'm a Buckeye fan, that he only completes about 60% of his passes. Not a great passer. I don't know if that's going to fly. Maybe or maybe I'll be a little concerned. But they also signed Ole Miss running back Quinshawn Judkins, who was SEC Freshman of the Year 2 years ago, and he's a 2-time all first team SEC guy. This guy can play. He's a good running back, 5'11", low to the ground. They also picked up Alabama center Seth McLaughlin, as we mentioned yesterday. This is the center from Alabama that botched like 5 snaps in the shotgun in the Rose Bowl. But maybe he's a better upgrade at blocking. So whatever the case may be, they got to work on that. Day is also bringing in tight end Will Kaczmarek from Ohio. 6'6", former defensive end, switched to tight end, tough guy. Not a pass catcher, only 42 catches in 2 years. But he's an excellent blocker. Right away, he'll be the best blocking tight end in the room. Okay? So, do you see what's going on here? Do you see this? Ryan Day got himself a strong, powerful running quarterback. Got a strong, powerful running back, a low-to-the-ground running back. Got himself a center, a blocking tight end. Look, Ryan Day is either trying to prove Lou Holtz was wrong earlier this year when he said that Ohio State isn't tough enough to play the big boys in the big games, or more likely scenario here, he's trying to catch up with Michigan. He's trying to be tough on offense, stronger, powerful, more blocking, more stuff in the middle, not worrying about the flashy receivers on the outside. We're going to lose Marvin Harrison Jr., although Emeka Egbuka is coming back. Got to try to catch up to the Wolverines and their power game right in the trenches. That's what we're starting to see. He's building from the middle out with these guys in the transfer portal. That's what I think he's trying to do. And I think he's trying to do it quickly. Always love to hear what you think as well. You can hit me up We got some roster news that's coming up around the Big Ten, plus an early look. There was a big publication to put out the not too early top 25. Everybody does it for 2024. And we'll let you know how the Big Ten teams fared and also the new teams coming in from the Pac-12. Remember, next year, they're in the Big Ten. They are Big Ten teams as far as we are concerned with any news moving forward with Southern Cal, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon. So we will take a look at all of that in just 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Hey, did you go to any bowl games? You going to any NFL playoff games? You need tickets? Well, Game Time has an app for you where you can get tickets, and it is super easy. I want to tell you about it. You don't have to worry about getting tickets. It takes all the worry out. Just go out and have fun at these events. It's fast and easy way to buy tickets for all your events, whether it's sports, music, comedy, theater, anything. They got it out there. And it's real easy. They have last-minute ticket deals, flash deals, zone deals. Super easy. You can see a picture of the venue of your seat that you're about to buy a ticket to. Couple of taps on the phone, boom, you got it right there. No emails, no tickets, nothing mailed to you. You're good to go right there on the spot. It's all right on your phone. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, even an hour after the event starts. If you're like living in LA and you're late to everything because traffic is horrible, they can help you out. So here's what you need to do. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create an account and the redeem code LOCKEDON. That's LOCKEDON. Locked On for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I want to thank all of you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen every day. You everydayers make this thing go. Thank you very much. Tell your friends about it. Get more of your friends in here and make them everydayers. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe on YouTube. That helps us out, please. And you can share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Big Ten, your team, your teams every day. All right. First of all, congratulations to former Michigan State football coach Mark D'Antonio. Back in the news a little bit. It was announced this week that he will be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. He was the head coach at Michigan State from 2007 to 2019 and won 3 Big Ten championships during that time. He also beat Michigan 8 times in 13 years, so people kind of like him up there around East Lansing. Won 13 games in 2013, including a Rose Bowl win over Stanford. So he's done a lot of great things. And I you know what? I don't know if this is the most impressive thing on his resume, but that was pretty cool. When Mel Tucker got fired this year, he came out of retirement just to help out as an associate head coach and was there. I thought that was big for the athletic department. I think they really, really appreciate that. I think a lot of fans like seeing him around again. All right, back to Ohio State for a minute. They are parting ways with their special teams coordinator, Parker Fleming. He's been in Columbus since 2018. In fact, just got a 2-year extension last year, but things didn't go great with special teams this year, and they need to make a change. Do you know that some teams in college football don't have a special teams coordinator, kind of a shared job or whatever, but some teams do, the bigger schools do. And they had several miscues and miscommunications this year on special teams. Plus, did you know that Ohio State has not returned a kickoff for a touchdown since 2010? Or a punt return for a touchdown since 2014? And this year they failed to block a single kick or a single punt all season. So sadly, Parker Fleming has to move on. Again, more changes that Ryan Day has to make with this program. And so they made that change. The Minnesota Golden Gophers in the news. They hired Corey Heatherman as the new defensive coordinator under P.J. Fleck. Heatherman was the linebackers coach at Rutgers. Played very tough defense there. They could be a good fit. Could replace Joe Rossi, who took the same position with the new staff at Michigan State. Fleck also hired Bob Likashevsky as a special teams coordinator. And finally, did you see, it was USA Today that they released the not too early or way too early top 25 college football poll for 2024. Everybody does it. They're always out. I like to look at them. I find them amusing. So I thought we'd take a look at it. We won't look at the whole thing. I think we'll just look at the pertinent information on their list. We'll see what you think. First of all, you know, it seems like when people put these lists together time in and time out, they usually just either out of laziness or just recent top of mind. Seems like the defending national champion always gets the number one spot the next year, right? So Michigan number one? No. They put Georgia back up there. I was talking with some Georgia people this week. They still got something wrong with them. They're still upset. Georgia's like, oh, we could have beat Michigan. They just saw Michigan really handle Washington on national TV for a national championship. Georgia's better than Michigan. I don't think so. In fact, Georgia fan, I will tell you, there's a committee of about a half a dozen people that put together the rankings. They didn't even think you were in the top 5. All right. They think you didn't play anybody all year. You lost your game to Alabama. You lost your spot on the top perch. You got down to 6. All right. And I think that was only out of courtesy for Florida State because they were undefeated, but they were 5. Yeah. Now just relax, Georgia fan. You had your 2 straight champions, and I'll give you your props, man. Your 2 years you won the championship, you were a dominating team on both sides of the ball. No doubt. So just relax. 2023-24 is over. You didn't win. Maybe you can bounce back next year. Okay, Kirby Smart? That's the deal. Georgia, number 1 in the USA Today poll for 2024. Alabama, number 2. However, big news out of Tuscaloosa. Nick Saban's quitting. He's retiring. It's time. Still have Alabama. He already lost. I know he lost a recruit within an hour over there at Alabama, making his announcement on Wednesday. So we'll see if Alabama still stays up there that high. Number 2, we'll see if things continue to roll. Going to be a real interesting hire. Michigan is at number 3 in the USA Today poll. I'm as curious as anybody to see if Jim Harbaugh will still be the head coach there. Texas at number 4 and Ole Miss at number 5. That's interesting because Lane Kiffin has made that program better and better each and every year that he's been there. He's a good coach. I'm wondering if he's going to be the next coach at Alabama. That's just me. I don't have any inside information. Just thought I'd throw that out there. He was OC there for a couple of years. We'll see. Lane Kiffin to Alabama. Anybody? Comments? All right, let's bounce around a little bit. Teams that are just Big Ten teams or about to be Big Ten teams. Oregon at number 7. Dan Lanning. Lanning is he's people throwing his name around for Alabama. I don't think he'll leave. He's got a loaded team. He's coming into a new conference. I think he's just fine at Oregon. I don't think he would leave for the Alabama job. By the way, who would leave for the Alabama job? The pressure there. We just did a whole segment on the pressure that Ryan Day is under. What do you think the pressure is going to be like taking the job at Tuscaloosa? It's going to be impossible. You lose 2 games, you're going to be on the hot seat. You lose 2 games again, you'll be fired. Better beat Auburn. All right, what else we got? Ohio State at number 9. Interesting. They got Michigan at 3, Ohio State 9. I've seen Vegas odds that have Ohio State with a better chance of winning the national championship than Michigan next year. So we'll see. Will Howard, we just talked about him, going to be the new quarterback. Key figures returning on the defensive line for the Buckeyes. Penn State is at number 15 on this list of USA Today. They have a new offensive coordinator. We'll see if he can get Drew Aller to take the next step as a quarterback. They have to get some wide receivers, though. They have to. Washington, the runners-up in the national championship at number 17. Kalen DeBoer. I even heard all these talking heads. Oh, don't be surprised if he gets a call from Alabama. Yeah, he probably will. Again, if you're at Washington or Oregon or Southern Cal or UCLA, I think you're good where you're at and you're getting ready to join the Big Ten. I think it's a good one. Yeah, some people go, well, it's the SEC. I like the Big Ten. That's why we're here. Lockdown Big Ten. Number 19, Southern Cal. Lincoln Riley. Caleb Williams is gone, and then Miller Moss steps in and throws 6 touchdown passes in the bowl game. I guess he's going to be the guy. And then at number 24, the Iowa Hawkeyes, which is about where they were all year, ranked around 24th, 25th, 26th. That's where they spent most of this season till late when they got their 10th win. I can't remember how high up they went, but it was a bit higher. I want to know who Kirk Ferentz is going to hire as his offensive coordinator. I think that's the most important question, right? So there you have it. So let's see. Big Ten and future Big Ten teams. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of them are Big Ten teams. Pretty good. Pretty good representation throughout the top 25. Top 25 is going to be loaded with SEC and Big Ten, and then everybody else. That's how it's going to go. Let's talk a little bit of hoops. If you're checking this out, when we release this podcast, this is a Thursday podcast. Thursday night men's basketball. I got Michigan at Maryland. That has 7 o'clock at FS1. Maryland, a 5.5 point favorite in that game, by the way. Michigan State is at number 10, Illinois. That's a 9 p.m. game on FS1. So they got a doubleheader at FS1. And Illinois is a 3.5 point favorite in that game. Some women's hoops in the Big Ten on Thursday. Rutgers at 17th ranked Ohio State, 6 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. They got a doubleheader. They got an 8 o'clock game with Illinois and the Lady Huskers at Nebraska, 8 o'clock. All right, so that's some basketball for you on a Thursday night. If you haven't heard yet, the whole Locked On Network has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. It's Locked On Sports Today. It's here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league, like, voila, Locked On Big Ten. We're on there. Everybody's on there, just constantly rotated. So check it out. If you miss it here, you can always get it here. But yeah, if you want to check that out too, you can subscribe to that after you subscribe to us on Locked On Big Ten and Locked On Sports Today. 24/7 streaming, just all of us. It's great. All right. So as we wind down the week and get closer to the weekend, we always like to look ahead to Big Ten Classics and Big Ten live action on the Big Ten Network. We will check that out. That is coming up in just 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. So the NFL regular season is over. It's playoff time. It's go time. And there's still time for you to get in on the action on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. It's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Win or lose. The app is very easy, and they've got these different sections instead of just, I mean, they have all the stuff you're used to, like point spreads and over-unders, totals, prop bets for players. They got other things. If you like to do parlays, they have live same-game parlays, and it's all over the app. It's really easy to find. You can find bets in the new Explore tab to give you some ideas. If you want to do something different, you can make a parlay in the Parlay Hub. They got their own hub for parlays. Best way to find popular parlays. They got all that and more. So go ahead and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, so let's check out what's coming up on the tube this weekend on the Big Ten Network. We always like to look at whether they have classics, the old-timey games brought. I mean, heck, they got the national championship from last week. I'll tell you all about it. Let's put it on the screen. If you're listening on audio, I'll explain it. And here we go. We're going to start it off with Friday, January 12th. It started at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Big Ten football, Big Ten Michigan football classic. They got the 2024 national championship. Michigan versus Washington. Of course, Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards combined for 238 yards and 4 touchdowns. Bam! 34-13 win over Washington. Easy breezy, right? First title since 1997. If you missed it, you can watch it. This is the first time I mentioned they're going to play it throughout the whole weekend. So that's the first time you can catch it on Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern. At 9:30 p.m., got some live action. Big Ten men's basketball, Nebraska and Iowa. And then we go ahead to Saturday, pick it up at noon Eastern. Big Ten men's basketball, Northwestern is at Wisconsin. At 2:15, we got another basketball game. Penn State is at West Lafayette at Mackey Arena taking on Purdue. 7 o'clock Eastern time, Big Ten Live, Michigan Football National Championship celebration. Now, honestly, I don't know which this is. Is this like celebration right after the game, the podium, the presentation, or is this back in Ann Arbor? I don't know. I might tune in to just to find that out with you. All right. And then at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, Big Ten hockey, Notre Dame and Ohio State. Now, I should also point out, look, I have no affiliation with the Big Ten Network. I just like to mention what they have on since we have common interests. I will also point out that on Fox, Saturday night, 7:30, women's basketball, prime time on Fox. I think Gus Johnson's doing the game. You've got Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Lady Hawkeyes taking on the Indiana Hoosiers, the Lady Hoosiers. So that's a Saturday night deal. Plus, there's a playoff game in the NFL. There's a lot going on Saturday night. Let's take a look at what's going on Sunday. Pick it up at noon Eastern time. Got Big Ten men's basketball, Rutgers at Michigan State at 2 o'clock. More men's basketball, Maryland at Illinois. And then at 4 o'clock, we got women's basketball, Michigan State at Ohio State. So that is what is on the slate on the Big Ten Network, plus a few other things that I mentioned along the way. It's busy TV weekend with a lot of sports. Some of you are viewing us in some very cold, wintry areas around the country. You might as well just lock down. Keep watching our podcast on Lockdown Big Ten. By the way, every podcast we've ever done is on our website, Talk Big Ten. That's the number 10, talkbig10.com. And you can go back. And it's even sectioned off by teams. If you are a Nebraska fan, you can go back and see all the podcasts we did that emphasized Nebraska, for example, or Purdue or Ohio State or Michigan. But it's all there. Check it out. You can get some swag and some ticket information as well, all on the website, talkbig10number10.com. So go ahead and check that out. All right. So let's remind you, speaking of the website, talkbig10number10.com. Hit me up on Twitter or X at talkbig10. That's the number 10 as well. And I always take your comments here on YouTube. Always peruse those when I'm sitting on the couch watching something. Always see you. And again, a lot of you guys going back and forth with the rivalries on the comments. I actually like that a lot. I try to jump in there too from time to time. So I appreciate that. I enjoy it as well. Also, one more reminder that Locked On has launched the first ever National Sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Check that out. Locked On Sports Today. You can subscribe to that as well. But we always appreciate if you subscribe here as well. Locked On Big Ten. It helps us out getting this close to 6,000 subscribers. You can follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app and to get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. So that's it, man. It's been a very busy week for the championship on down. We got a lot of things to keep our eye on. We'll help you out. You just come right here. This is your source for all Big Ten news, stories, comments, opinions. It's all right here on Locked On Big Ten. Thank you for checking us out. We'll talk to you next time. I'm Craig Sheeman.